Example 4, find the solution to the following systems of equations using the graphical method or any method. We're going to go ahead and graph. So for the first equation, we are going to create a table. You choose the values for your x. In this case, we're going to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And then y equals to x squared plus 3. Don't forget, this is a quadratic equation. So we're going to plug in this -2 where I have x in the original. So this is going to be -2 squared plus 3. -2 squared is 4 plus 3 is 7. -1 squared plus 3. -1 squared is 1 plus 3 is 4. 0 squared is 0 plus 3 equals to 3. 1 squared is 1 plus 3, that's 4. And 2 squared, that's 4, plus 3 equals to 7. Let's go ahead and plug in our points in the Cartesian plane and then graph our function. So we have -2 comma 7, -2 comma 7, that's right here. And then we have -1 comma 4, -1 comma 4. We have 0 comma 3. 1, 2, 3, 0 comma 3 right here. 1 comma 4, 1 comma 4 right here. And 2 comma 7 over here. Now this is a quadratic function. Remember, this is gonna look like a parabola. So let's go ahead and connect our dots. All right. Now for the second equation, I have y equals to x plus 2. We're gonna go ahead and use the slope-intercept form, where my slope is a coefficient of my x, which in this case is 1, and my y-intercept, it's gonna be 0, comma 2. Let's graph the second function. So y equals x plus 2. I have my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 0, comma 2. And then from here we move up 1, 1 to the right, up 1, 1 to the right, up 1 and 1 to the right. We connect the points to create our line. And as you can see, our graphs do not intersect. That means that there is no solution. So no solution. The graphs do not intersect. For example B, we are going to create tables for these two equations. So this is the first table. For the equation y equals x squared plus x plus 1. So we plug in the value in the original one. So this is going to be -3 squared plus -3 plus 1. That's 7. This is going to be -2 squared plus -2 plus 1. That's 3. This is -1 squared plus -1 plus 1. That's 1. And then we have -0.5 squared plus -0.5 plus 1. That's 0.75. And then for 0, we have 0 squared plus 0 plus 1. That's 1. And then we have 1 squared plus 1 plus 1. That's 3. And then we have 2 squared plus 2 plus 1. That's 7. And for the 3, we have 3 squared plus 3 plus 1. That's going to be 13. Let's go ahead and graph our first equation. So we have -3 comma 7. So 1, 2, 3. Right here. And then we have -2 comma 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. -1 comma 1. And then we have -0.5 comma 0.75. So somewhere here. And then we have 0 comma 1. So 0 comma 1 is here. 1 comma 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we have 2 comma 7. 2, comma 7. This is a parabola. So we connect the points. Okay. So for the second equation, the same thing. Let's plug in those values of x on the original equation. So we have negative 2x squared plus 2. And that's going to give me negative 2. Then we have negative 1 squared plus 2. That's going to give me 1. Negative 0 squared plus 2. That's going to be 2. Negative 1 squared plus 2. That's going to be 1. And the last one, negative 2 squared plus 2 equals 2, negative 2. So let's go ahead and plug in those points. Negative 2 comma negative 2. So here, negative 1 comma 1 right here. And then 0 comma 2 right here. 1 comma 1 right here. And 2 comma negative 2 over here. This is a parabola that's going to open down. So it's going to look like this. For precision, I went ahead and put the graph here so we can see exactly where both of my graphs are intersecting. So they intersect at negative 1 comma 1 and at 0.5 comma 1.75. So we're going to check those points. Let's go ahead and check. So we need to check negative 1 comma 1. Remember, this is x and this is y. So let's check on the first equation. So I have 1 equals negative 1 squared plus negative 1 plus 1. 1 equals, this is 1, minus 1 plus 1 equals 1. So it does work. Let's check on the second one. I have 1 equals to negative 1 squared plus 2. 1 equals, negative 1 squared is 1, so this is negative 1 plus 2. So this is 1 equal to 1. Yes. Let's check the other point, which is 0.5 comma 1.75. So on our first equation, we're going to have 1.75 equals 0.5 squared plus 0.5 plus 1. When we plug in that in the calculator, it's actually 1.75, so it works. And then for the second equation, we have 1.75, so this is the first equation. The second one is 1.75 equals to negative 0.5 squared plus 2. And that's actually 1.75 as well. So it checks. So that means that my solutions are negative 1 comma 1 and 0.5 comma 1.75. For our last example, we have a linear equation and we have a quadratic equation. So for the linear one, again, we're going to use a slope-intercept form. So we have y minus x equals 1. We add x on both sides. So y equals to x plus 1, where my slope is a coefficient of my x, in this case is 1. And my y-intercept is going to be 0, comma 1. Let's go ahead and graph that. So we plug in 0, comma 1 right here. And then we move 1 up, 1 to the right, 1 up, 1 to the right, 1 up, 1 to the right. Let's graph our line. And for the second equation, we're going to create a table. So we're going to have x. Remember, you give the values of x. We're going to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And my y is x minus 1 squared plus 2. So let's go ahead and substitute those numbers. So we have -2 minus 1 squared plus 2. That's going to be 11. Then we have -1 minus 1 squared plus 2. 6. 0 minus 1 squared plus 2. That's going to be 3. And then we have 1 minus 1 squared plus 2. That's going to be 2. And then we have 2 minus 1 squared plus 2 equals to 3. And let's do one more. Let's do a 3. So 3 minus 1 squared plus 2, that's going to give me 6. Let's plug in those numbers. So we have -2 comma 11. -2 comma 11 is actually somewhere here. And then we have -1 comma 6. So -1 comma 6 right here. 0 comma 3 right here. 1 comma 2. 2 comma 3. And 3 comma 6. So we can connect our points. Remember, this is a parabola. It looks something like this. Again, for precision purposes, I went ahead and put the graph here. My graphs are intersecting at 1 comma 2 and at 2 comma 3. So we're going to go ahead and check those points. So let's check 1 comma 2. So we're going to plug it in on our first equation. So we have y minus x equals 1. So this is x and this is y. So we have 2 minus 1 equals 1. 2 minus 1, 1. 1 equals 1. Yes. Let's take a look at the second equation. We have 2 equals 1 minus 1 squared plus 2. This is 0. So 2 equals to 2. Yes. Let's check our second point, which is 2 comma 3. So for our first equation, we have 3 minus 2 equals to 1. This is 1 equal to 1. Yes. And for our second equation, which is this one right here, we have 3 equals 2 minus 1 squared plus 2. So 3 equals 2 minus 1 is 1. And 1 squared is 1 plus 2, 3. This is correct. So our solutions are 1 comma 2 and 2 comma 3.